Two local men confronted authorities with a rather bizarre story.
We must warn you now that some of these things may seem incredible.
The Stool with Matt Nic.
And yeah, I've borrowed a lot of vehicles over my life because I've had a lot of broken down ones and like moments where I've had to borrow one, but you just always have it where like somebody's like, oh, and remember, the back window doesn't work on the passenger side. The lock doesn't work on the passenger driver's side, so don't use that. Remember that if you're going to lock the doors, to keep the trunk open so you can pull this to get inside. Like, everybody's got rules of their own vehicles that you got to follow when you get in their their rust bucket.
I guess
it blows my mind. You've never had one of those experiences.
No, I actually haven't. Like, it's probably because I'm usually...
Boy, what a privileged life, Matt. What a privileged life, Matt Kaiser.
No, it's probably... I think it's more that, like, I'm usually the one who's been the one borrowing the rust bucket. So, like, like not like I'm borrowing it from myself. I'm borrowing it to someone.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, so you've never said that to somebody? Like, okay, if you're going to be using my truck, like, just remember, the windshield wipers don't work, so don't drive in the rain.
It's been more like my so I don't have a key fob to, like, automatically open my doors, and you have to open the driver door with a key, and that's tricky. But I don't have any advice for anyone on that because there's been plenty of mornings I'm out there at 4 a.m. just like punching my fucking door, like, open, you fucking cocksucker! Like I don't have a trick.
Well, we finally arrived. We finally arrived, though. This is the exact idea that I'm like. It's unfortunate you haven't figured out the trick because I guarantee you there is one. I guarantee you,
Maybe.
And I can't wait till I come back to Wisconsin to show you what the trick is. I'm gonna figure it out, man. I'm gonna figure it out. But that would be the idea that I'm getting at. Like how you have that one thing in your vehicle that doesn't fucking quite work right, you know, and you gotta warn everybody about it. And then like they take your vehicle and they go, okay, I'll have no problem. I can deal with that. And then they're stuck outside somewhere, like, trying to get into it, like, calling, man, I don't know how to get this shit open.
Well, like, when Sal was staying at my place for a while last year, I just lent him my key. I only had the one, but I'm like, just don't lock me out. And I've always had problems with my deadbolt in my door. And I told him about it, and he's like, no, it's been no problem at all. Like, I just put the key in, turn it, it's fine. I'm like, what? Does everything just hate me? Like, because like, I same as my car door, I've been stuck outside my own apartment, just like, fucking god damn it! Like,
maybe it's the anger. It's the anger that is stopping you from like having it work. You know,
maybe. Well,
I'm just glad you finally smelt what I was stepping in at the end of all that. Like, because I know I came at a weird angle, but what you're talking about there is exact. It just makes me good to know that I made some connection.
I guess it's because I've always been the borrower, not the borrowee.
And I've always been the borrowee. Maybe that's why this podcast, you know, we provide the opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
We're certainly on some kind of spectrum. Welcome to the Loose Stool, everybody. This is Matt. I'm sitting here talking to Nick, and I see you sitting. I see you sitting.
What am I doing?
I'm pretty sure you're
sitting. I see you sitting.
Yeah, I'm sitting too.
I'm sitting.
But what I really wanted to know is...
Now check it out. You can't see this on the podcast, but Matt can see it. I'm going down the escalator.
Fuck you. What are you sipping on over there, goddammit?
Oh, I'm shitting on some Big Ballard IPA right now here today. The same as usual. My beautiful, my lovely Red Hook. my Big Ballard IPA. I write poems to it. I sit up late at night and I dream of it. Not really, that makes me sound like an alcoholic, but goddamn, I love this beer. And I recommend you to love it too. Love it all night long. What are you drinking there, buddy?
I'm chasing early times with Pabst, like a real piece of shit.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Class level way down over normal, over average.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I just bought a guitar pedal yesterday, so all my extra funds have been exhausted at this point. So I'm just skidding on the bottom of the barrel.
Hey man, I tell you what, if you're buying guitar pedals and getting cheaper beer, you got your fucking priorities in the right place. So ain't nobody can say anything about that. You know, fucking get the good stuff that does something. You know, save a little, and then you save a little bit of money on beer. What's so wrong about that? Huh?
Hell yeah.
Nothing. Dude, check this out. I got a fucking handlebar mustache on my head. I wish the audience could see this
like
right
devil
now.
horns. Do I have a halo over my head? Probably not. What you been up to this week, buddy?
Oh man, not a whole lot. I've been chasing the stocks as we've been talking about over the past 2-3 episodes now. So that's been pretty exciting. Although this week was a bit disappointing, but we'll get to all that in the future. What really was interesting this week was just like the most bizarre shopping trip that. Well, it wasn't bizarre. It's just like everything. I was in a great mood, and just everything was pissing me off. It's just like from the start of it, like it was just really bad. So, I guess I'll get right into it. I'm trying to leave room.
Go for it.
Thinking, I just don't want to ramble, but I'm just going to get right into it. I want to tell you a story. So first thing is, I get to town. And this is what I want to say. We're gonna introduce a segment here called Scum of the Earth. And it's the scum of the earth that I want to talk about. And these motherfuckers that drive their fancy ass cars to the grocery store in the middle of winter when there's snow, and we don't use salt up here in Alaska, but
sand.
When the roads are all shitty, so they shouldn't be driving this nice car anyways. And then when they this is what makes them the scum of the earth. Then when they get to their parking spot, they do that shit at the back of the parking area where they park their car across 2 parking spots. Because it's so nice. And they put it somewhere that you have to look at it. And so it's like, look at my nice car that I drove to the grocery store and don't you dare get close to it.
That
scum of the
shit
earth
drives me fucking insane. Like, It happened to me recently where it was shit ass, like it was snowing like hell outside. Excuse me. I had to go to Walmart, whole parking lot's full, and I think that I see a spot, and double parked in between them is this like brand new Cadillac sedan, and I'm like, I don't know about you, but when I see that, my blood starts to boil, and I think like I want to break your fucking brake lights. Like, I'm like, fuck you.
So I get just as angry as you do, but my inclination is I don't want to break anything. What I want to do, and not just for the ones that are, I don't get as mad for the people that park in between but still straight, because sometimes I'm like, maybe they didn't see the parking lines. But the people that do the angle,
fully horizontal,
like backed in across the two, like going the wrong way, what I want to do for them, and honestly, I've come so close and I've yet to do it, but one of these days is going to happen. All I want to do is park right up against them. So they can't open up their fucking driver's door and go, guess what? I can park at an angle too, and I can park right against your ass, and you can't fucking do anything about it. That's what I want to do.
I've done that before where my ex's place had this parking lot that only had 2 visitor parking spaces, and one of them would often be taken by someone. So I would try to go to the other one, which was at like the far end of the parking lot, and there was always this asshole with like this white little sedan, and he would intentionally, you could tell it was intentionally double parking in between them. And there was one time this happened like 4 or 5 times in a row where I needed to park somewhere. Like I can't park anywhere else or I'll get a ticket. And I backed in as close as I could. Like I barely got into the parking spot, but I got in there. And then when I opened my driver door, I just, boom, just like right into their car. Like, just like I created a big ass dent in their door. Just fuck you. Like,
so statute of limitations, I probably should know this better before I tell this story. But everything's been settled and it was like 15 years ago. No, 12 years ago. You'll let me know if we should cut this out or not at the end of the episode. But very similar story. I got home one night at the place I was living in the town that you live in now. And we had this neighbor upstairs from us who had about 3 vehicles. Everybody living in my place only had one themselves, and we only had enough parking spots for each of us to have one spot. But this dude was just he was cool at first, and he just became a total fucking prick, right? And so one night I get home from work, and he's taking up all the parking spots with his vehicles. And I'm a little bit buzzed because I was working at a bar. You know, I maybe shouldn't say that I was driving home, but I wasn't drunk. I just had questionable judgment. So I pull up, and I see how he's parked, and I decide I'm going to drive my car straight into the side of his fucking Land Rover. Because he was a rich motherfucker, too, a fucking son of a bitch. And I drove that fucking fucker straight into his fucking Land Rover, put a huge fucking dent in the door. Yeah. And so I left a paint mark, obviously, in the door.
That's when he
and
parked
I go
else.
in and I talk to my roommate, who I'm not going to incriminate, but they happened to be doing auto body at the time, and they had this shit that could buff out the paint. So we go and we buff out the paint, and the next day I get a knock at the door, and the cops show up, and they're like, well, your neighbor believes that you may have messed up his vehicle last night and kicked the door in. Kicked is the key word here. Kicked the door in. And he says you guys have been not really getting along, and there might be reason to believe that you did that. And I looked the officer straight in the eyes, and I said, no, officer, I did not kick his door in.
You're not technically lying at that point, yeah. That's the best, right? When you can say for a fact, I did not kick his door in. Because that's true.
Yeah, exactly. It was true. And how this all wrapped up is a month later, I was shoveling snow. He got back from work, came up to me, was like, you motherfucker, I know you did that. I know you did that, you piece of shit. And I was a piece of shit. I was young. I was 20 years old, 21. 21. I was working at the bar.
That's when we all have anger issues.
You know, and this dude was 38 years old, right? Honestly, he had a kid that was closer to my age than I was to his age, you know? And but he tried to party with us. He was screwing our 18-year-old roommate for a while because he'd come and drop beer off at the doorstep. And then one day we were having band practice after my roommate stopped sleeping with him, and he just decided he was going to be an asshole. This is how this all went on. He stopped getting his pussy, and all of a sudden, I don't like your band practices anymore. Right. I don't like when you guys do this. I don't like this shit, you know? I don't like when you take advantage of little girls. You know, let's all fucking, going back to what we were saying pre, yeah, exactly. So anyways, this fucking pussy goes inside, gets his dog, comes back downstairs with his dog, and then starts a fight with me. So he tries to throw a punch. I grab him by the collar. I crack him 3 good times in the face. He gets one off on me, breaks my glasses, and then his dog bites me in the leg. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he's a pussy, and he had to go get his dog to have some backup.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what all happened was the glasses that he broke were Gucci, because that's the type of dumb motherfucker I was back in those days. On top of it, I had Gucci glasses. Now give me America's Best for $50. I'm all good, you know. But he broke those, and so after all was said and done, I got a check for about $1,000, and that was the end of the story.
Not a bad way to end a fight, I guess.